Brother,
How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. How are you, bro?
I'm good. Sorry about the time push. Hey.
No worries ever, bro. What do you mean you give yourself a adenosine?
Oh, no, we were just about to finish. I was just about to finish at 5:30 p.m. And then we had a lady who suddenly was hemorrhaging from like down below.
Okay.
So then obviously I had to stay like an hour and about 45 minutes extra time, but it was just a long day, nonstop.
Wow. I can't believe you do the work that you do. I think that's the number one topic I want to talk about today.
Yeah, for sure.
But besides that, how are you?
I'm good. Right now,
Yeah.
I'm like buzzing on 3 hours of sleep, but
Oof.
that's my fault. That's my fault. But we're
How
doing.
come?
What happened last night? The neighbors were arguing, so I knew I wasn't going to get
Okay.
any sleep. I was this
Okay.
close to shut the fuck up. But like when you wake up once, then it kind of messes with your rhythm a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. You you're thinking too much.
Exactly, monkey brain. You get
Yeah.
it.
What do you do when you don't sleep much? To wake up early, go to work, the work that you do, go to the gym, stay fit. That's one of the biggest questions here today, but let's get started with that.
Sure. We can start with the whole weird lifestyle thing. Like, I think it stems from because like after work, I am probably the laziest mushroom you will ever meet
Hmm.
in life. Like, I just can't gather any. Like, sometimes it can, but I can't rely on it enough to not fluctuate like crazy. So
Hmm.
ever since I was like 17, I think I
Hmm.
started waking up around 4:30 a.m.
Okay, so it's natural.
Yeah, it wasn't always like that. It was just like a spur of the moment decision to just get up early
Okay.
because I wanted to play Skyrim without being distracted by my family. Because nighttime, and then you're playing, then your mom comes in, she tells you to wash the dishes, and you're like, I don't want to wash the dishes, and then you start waking up at 4:30, so you have 5 extra hours of no one disturbing you to play.
Yeah.
And then I realized it's kind of weird spending 5 hours playing a video game when I could be doing something way more productive.
Okay.
So I started gymming um, around
Early.
the time. And then the more I gymmed, or the skinnier I got, or like the more muscle I built a little bit, the more energy, too much energy actually, after school or after uni, even if everyone else was like fuck tired, I
Okay.
was bursting with energy. So then I was like thinking, what else can I do with this energy? So I started like doing some MMA, some kickboxing, some Muay
Mm.
Thai to start off with, a little bit of Chinese kung fu here. I'm not gonna elaborate on that. My God.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, that's just been the maintained repertoire. Just wake up, gym, go to work, extra stuff in between,
Mm-hmm.
MMA afterwards, and then go to sleep.
With 3 hours of sleep, I know you're ODing on creatine. Is that right?
Yeah. When I hit sub 5, I hit like 7 scoops of creatine.
Okay.
There's no more. Initially, when the first time I did that, I had this. The first time I did this was before an exam, like a pharmacy exam. Like if you didn't pass, you were kind of fucked. So like I was studying for it, and then something happened at the night that I needed to take care of, and I knew it was going to mess with my results tomorrow. So I took 7 scoops of creatine,
Which
what,
is um
35 grams.
wow.
Yeah, it should have been a little bit more, I think, but I was just in a rush at the time, and it was a big mistake because that was the first time I tested this theory. And don't get me wrong, I woke up, but I also had watery diarrhea for like 3 hours.
Right.
So that was
Yeah.
a huge concern as well. Yeah,
Hmm.
I don't get that problem anymore,
How'd
thankfully.
you down 35 grams of creatine in one go?
I just chuck it in a. I have no taste buds, so I
Did
actually
you
didn't have a
really?
problem with that. Yeah, I just drank
Wow.
it all. It was
I
gross.
struggle. I struggle with 5 grams.
It tastes like ass. I'm not
You
gonna
know,
lie.
it triggers a terrible gag reflex for me. And besides, it's been difficult on my stomach lately because I'm dealing with some stuff. I can't
Mm.
I can't swallow creatine. I know it sounds like so gay, but I really can't.
That sucks actually. Even
Yeah.
even with gummies. I know Bow-Tied Bill's got like some crazy gummy stuff going on, which I've been wanting to buy so bad.
I haven't tried gummies. I think my next step would be like pills because those don't taste much. Um, but gummies to me feel a little bit unnecessary because sure, they're an easier way to get creatine in taste wise, unless you're adding something to the gummies that will max creatine absorption, which I wouldn't know what exactly, maybe like salt and sugar.
Mm,
I won't buy it because it just has extra ingredients that I don't want. I just want my 5 grams of creatine,
no,
right? So
that's fair.
I guess that's the plus of taking the powder.
Mm. So you still get like the gastrointestinal distress, even
Yeah,
if you like have it with like a sugary
with a
add-on.
meal and everything. Yes, I left it a while, like a couple months ago, because I want to try to figure out what's going on in my gut, and then I'll reintroduce that. Terrible with anything. It would I would get like IBDS symptoms with it and other things. Um, but yeah, enough of that. Could you give the folks who are listening who don't know who you are a little bit on who you are?
So I'm not going to reveal my real name for
Of
reasons that
course,
are just privacy reasons.
no worries.
I think I initially introduced myself as the steroid on dumplings. I do not take steroids. My goal is definitely to get jacked.
The
And
steroid on dumplings is amazing.
I love it. I'm gonna use it again at some point in the future.
Yeah.
I'm working with Coach Benjamin, amazing dude. He's gonna help me look jacked as fuck. I tell you what, I was planning on posting this later, but I have a short-term goal in late November to cosplay as an anime character. It was like a pig-headed but topless. So I'm gonna go to the convention and mug everyone. That's like a short-term goal. But
Okay.
um, I also practice medicine. Right
Yes.
now, I'm in my first year of training as a UK doctor. The end result is to obviously end up in Australia, and I plan to go down the generalist path, family medicine, general practice, and I intend to open a private clinic. I have a background in terms of the business side of things of that particular area. So if all goes according to plan,
Hmm.
I want to expand it in a how do you say McDonald's kind of way, but for medical clinics.
That's a beautiful desire. Yeah, I love
um,
it.
and also MMA. The reason I like to do MMA and gym is because I strongly believe that doctors should embody what acute health and chronic health should look like.
Hmm.
Not just deprive themselves of sleep, saturate themselves in blue light,
Right.
and eat, eat like absolute garbage. So if I perfect myself in all three of those areas, and I'm gradually growing in that area,
Hmm.
I feel like my confidence every step of the way, turns me into a slightly intolerable douchebag
Yeah.
to my advantage.
So how has this journey been so far?
Um, it's been all right. A lot of falls along the way. I started as a physiotherapist at a nursing home, and
Physiotherapist, is that like what is that?
it's like
Muscle?
a it's like a sort of like healthcare worker, but specifically towards rehabilitating patients or athletes or anyone coming in with a musculoskeletal problem,
Okay.
um, like bow-tied Bengal or bow-tied Cobra.
Okay.
But I was pretty shit at it, to be honest. I was a garbage student, and
Why were you interested in that in the first place?
I wasn't. It was the next best available thing after
GP?
finishing high school. Yeah, no, not
Oh.
even. I wasn't interested in anything. I just chose whatever was the closest or whatever felt cool at the time. The only reason I decided to go into medicine was randomly, and don't judge me on this. One day
No.
I decided to write my own eulogy.
My bad. That was my brother. I
That's okay.
interrupted you. What
No,
were
you're
you
right.
saying?
Sorry. I decided at one point, just randomly out of nowhere, to write my own eulogy. So hypothetical funeral. If I died, anyone who turned up at my funeral, what would they say? And it would be like something along the lines of he was a good friend, a good brother, or something or the other, a shit person, stuff like that, to reflect on myself, but in a sort of like death like fashion. And when it came to my vocation or what I wanted to do, I couldn't say like my current occupation, which was physical therapist. And then all of a sudden, like medicine just blared in my head. And I immediately applied for like the next medicine entry exam from Australia, which is called GAMSAT, which is if anyone's done it, it's a huge pain in the asshole.
Okay. Prior to that, you were never interested in anything medicine wise?
Never. It was actually prior to that, I would have been one of those people I hated.
Which is?
I looked at them now, like, extremely superficial, brand name clothing only, choded as fuck,
Yeah.
skinny fat, pale as the moon, just simping, beta, awkward, all that fucking shit.
So it's great you found medicine.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was definitely a primer or an impetus to move things along.
Okay. And going from physio to training to be a GP, right?
Mm.
How has that been?
Do you mean like how has my experience as a physio transferred to that, or like the
Yes,
difficulty of transferring
exactly.
from a physio? Okay, um,
Both, if you
as a
can.
physio, you learn a lot about anatomy, so I already had a leg up on that part where people are learning about bones. I'm like, I already know about bones. I'm gonna skip this class,
Mm-hmm.
and just go to the gym. Um, but also because I had already extensive amounts of exposure to patients, specifically geriatric patients, which I think a lot of my doctor colleagues will agree are very unique and varied to deal with, to talk to. Um,
Okay.
that assisted me greatly in terms of meshing with my colleagues, meshing with my consultants, my seniors above me, because I'm having a couple of issues at work right now where people who have never worked in a hospital environment are just getting complaints from nurses and consultants and HR left and right, and I'm just sitting in the background chilling with my cup of tea, just like you guys are fucking idiots.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea how many medical students are so socially inept. It's absolutely insane.
Medical. Why do you think so?
Well, medical school from the get go, in hindsight, in the collective subconscious, is considered high prestige or like difficult to get into. Therefore, you
So
must be
fucking
an
bootleg.
absolutely competitive rocket head. Nothing else. Do this. The hardest subjects get you the highest credits. Competitive, competitive, competitive. So you're always trying to shit on everyone lower than you, unless you're born with a naturally good social, emotional intelligence. You're just
Uh,
bound to become someone who's like a mushroom in terms of interpersonal skills.
okay. Why are these clinics your goal?
That's a good question. Just one, for quality of life, because I've seen how these clinics operate and the freedom as well as the security they provide. But I also intend to use it as a chained platform to Twitter to express global protocols and public health, preventative, all that kind of stuff as well.
That
I
sounds
get to practice the way I want to practice as well.
okay. Yeah, that was kind of something I wanted to ask. So, like, okay, before I do, how did you get introduced to X?
My friend, Dr. Mars, was always telling me how little I knew
Even
about
as
He was like, "Oh, you sleep like shit. Why didn't you just get magnesium? Why are you taking melatonin? Something about the sun, bomb C, blah blah blah."
really?
He's an absolute knob. He's my
Mm-hmm.
colleague. He's my medical school colleague. Extremely ambitious, well driven, very intelligent. And because he was intelligent, I wanted to take his words with some truth. So he said the best way to learn, join X. Holy crap.
Were you always open to what you read on X, being a studying what you study in like the centralized medical system?
As long as I had feedback. Like initially, I was the type of doctor who would be like, RCTs only, systemic reviews, no one else, no case studies, not n equals one or whatever. But after I found that my vitamin D levels, just from following a simple sun protocol, after I found my vitamin D levels went from 30-ish, which is low, but not pathologically low, and spike up all the way to 75 within just 6 months. And I'd not gotten any summer because I travel abroad to different countries before the summer comes in that respective country. And after that, then I realized that I can't just trust whatever the fuck I see. Like just the popular studies, I can't do that. I need to touch on everything with objective feedback, of course, of my own particular body.
Okay. So of the many we know, but you're there personally, what are the biggest flaws of centralized medicine or a hospital, would you say?
Number one that comes to my head right now, because I just dealt with it, was the art of defensive medicine. Defensive medicine, the philosophy is protect yourself as much as you can as a doctor, legally speaking, because it is so easy to get a complaint slash a lawsuit filed against
From
you
okay.
if you miss like a particular documentation or you make a misstep in treatment. So if someone was to be
Okay.
given blood thinners or or any other acute medication that we wouldn't normally agree with on X, that's fine. It's because it's part of the guidelines. You
What do you mean?
deviate.
Could you say
Oh,
that again? Sorry.
if we can't deviate from the guidelines, basically.
Okay, okay, yeah. Okay.
Every disease has a rule set placed by the UK or a particular region.
Really?
If they get less than 80 of this, you must do this. If they get less than 60 of this, you must do this. Any point you try to deviate from that without particular rationale, even with rationale, you might just get dissected in court for that.
Wow.
So a lot of doctors just like I'm on the obstetrics and gynecology ward, so women and children's services basically. Anytime someone comes in with like a slight amount of chest pain, straight to the medicine team or cardiology. Like we don't even touch it. And because we don't even touch it, that process of transferring or asking for advice from a another doctor can extend the amount of time it takes to treat a patient, or it just makes things more confusing, or beds pile up, everyone gets frustrated, nurses start yelling, things get thrown. Sorry, that happened today. So that's probably why
Mm-hmm.
it just puts a real big cog in things. That's the biggest flaw, I think, is defensive medicine, being scared of legally being destroyed.
Wow.
That would be this logistics side of things. I'm assuming you're asking more about like the medical side of things.
Sure.
Amazing acute medicine. Like
Mm-hmm.
acutely, if someone's hemorrhaging, if someone has a massive blood pressure drop, pulmonary embolism, we're on it. We've had this protocol we practiced for hundreds of years.
And it
Hasn't failed
works.
us half the time.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, when it comes to chronic, no one cares about that kind of thing. You would know already that most monetary compensation comes from repeated chronic medications that only act as a glorified band-aid.
Yeah.
Not really much else. We can throw a throwaway line: eat your greens, eat your vegetables, not too much salt. That counts as lifestyle advice given.
How do you see like personal health from doctors in these hospitals and medical school? Is there anything that is touched on so you guys are safe as well?
So we
Does
get
that make
these
sense?
things. So we get these things called modules.
Okay.
So they it's sort of like a checklist seminar that says, "Feel free to speak up. We want you to be aware of burnout. You're allowed to say no. You will always have support." And then in the hospital environment, you're pretty much denied at all four steps. One, because we're understaffed. Two, because if you do complain or like express that you're unable to handle it, sometimes they try to compensate for you or accommodate you. Most of the time, they send you to a resiliency module or seminar where you
Ugh.
get like a lecture or something on how to be more how to
More.
cope better
Wow.
with burnout or resilience. So then no one just says anything, honestly.
So I think for sure you're stronger now after having these experiences. But is there anything personal you could share on that
In terms of
of your own health being what would be like? How do I put this? I guess your own health being like compromised or achieving or experiencing burnout as a student or in the hospital. Has there been any help there?
so as a student, I've never been burnt out.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, sure.
Um, and I honestly attribute it mostly to waking up early.
Okay.
Most of the bad shit happens when your schedule is controlled
Okay.
by how shitty the schedule can be. You
Mm-hmm.
have to go in for night shift or weekends, or you have to wake up at 7, wake up at 8, wake up at 9, or wake up at 6. And because most people in their entire lives don't even try to wake up at 5, no one has a sense of control. And when you're woken up by something that's not in your control, like, similar to like a military alarm blaring or something like that, you can expect like a high spike in cortisol and like a chronic decrease in testosterone in general. Um, no, when I see my medical student colleagues complain about how hard things is, how hard the shift is, or how long they have to stand in surgery, it's not even a case of suck it up. I just don't feel anything, which is
Mm.
kind of a weird thing to say now that I think about it. In the hospital environment, it's even worse because there's now responsibility on you. Anyone who is a high stress ball, high in neuroticism, low in agreeability, or high in disagreeability, or close minded, or whatever the hell, they do so much worse because they haven't tried to train that particular part of themselves, the resilience part of it, in medical school. Hmm.
Okay. So you just have to obey, basically. That's
Yeah.
your only way through it.
Because I want to do general practice, I'm a bit more free in what I decide to do. I know some of my classmates who want to go into surgery who would spend until 3 a.m. in the morning staying with a surgeon, making sure all their cases are finished just to look good
Hmm.
or get a letter of recommendation in
Hmm.
hope that they join their department of choice in their program of choice, which did end up happening for them, and I'm so happy for them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that kind of lifestyle, like I think Dr. Mars would agree with me that it's not ideal.
Okay. So knowing what you know from X, how do you approach your current work in the hospital?
I mostly apply it to coping with stress as well as observing those around me,
That makes sense.
using it as like a spike of inspiration for whenever I want to do a little bit of research on something completely random.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for example, the just asked me about placenta previa. He's another account, another MD account on X.
The
Placenta previa, yeah, that's just his name,
literally THE.
just THE. Yeah,
Let me check that out.
he's also another a non MD account.
The
He asked me about placenta previa, um, which is when the placenta during the uterus covers the hole where the baby is supposed to come out of. And if it can't come out, you have to cut it out. Like you have to like rip it out of the womb with a C-section.
okay.
Um, and then it was good timing because we were actually in a discussion about the different presentations of babies inside the uterus. And then it got into a whole rabbit hole about placenta previa and how like the uterus expands, it pulls the placenta away from the hole, lets the baby through, but sometimes that doesn't work, so you have to twist it in a weird way. Um, That's one thing. Just for inspiration for just inspiration from X for
Mm-hmm.
exploring different things. But because everyone on X is just not a pussy, and it's just like so strong and monstrous and inhuman, it just makes everyone look around me look like a goddamn like a vegetable radish, right?
Wow. Wow.
Like I'm kind of sick of it, but I have a stressy colleague and a very aggressive colleague who just like venting to me about each other.
Mm-hmm.
We have people just like screaming at each other who are just frustrated with the workplace. And me and my other senior just sitting on our chairs, just doing our paperwork or just seeing our patients, just doing it. No need for this deep work or locked in or weird stuff that people say.
Have you tried to um approach your colleagues or doctors like this other doctor did to you with X?
Like tell them about X,
A little, not necessarily about X, but about this information.
like the protocols that I've
Sure.
tried to apply to my life.
Sure. Whatever they're not being taught in school.
Actually, yeah. So I have a Whoop watch, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I wear it around my ankle, and then when I cross my legs when I'm trying to type my shit up, they
People
see
see
the
the
ankle
whoop.
bracelet, and they say, "What? What the fuck is this?" And I'm
Why
like,
is it in your ankle too?
"Yeah, oh, because like you can't, you're bare below the elbows on the wall,
Oh, okay.
and it
Okay.
still does an adequate measurement if you hang around on your ankle as long as it's direct contact with your skin." But they saw my ankle thing, and I was like, "Oh, it's an ankle monitor," because I just came out of prison. But then that leads into a good segue about how crazy I am about sleep, and then they start asking me, "Oh, what do you do for sleep?" It's like I have trouble sleeping, and then I start talking about magnesium, and then they start taking magnesium, and then
Mhm.
stuff starts working, and
That's
it's pretty
great.
funny. And then they see me like refuse all chocolates or crazy things like that. They see me log my food. Um,
On a chronometer?
yeah, on Chronometer, exactly. And if you do it long enough without even needing to give unsolicited advice, people just start asking you more and more questions,
Of
which
course.
I found pretty funny actually. The only
Have
people who don't ask the questions are the doctors.
have you approached them at all?
No. No,
No.
I mean I have, and then usually the response I get is, "Oh man, I should start getting back into the gym soon." Like maybe I should start counting my calories.
Mm-hmm.
I should start and maybe don't usually lead anywhere, which is funny
Mm-hmm.
enough. Like the nurses or like the healthcare assistants actually
Sometimes it's
start
just
saying
like
it.
small talk too.
Yeah, I try to implement it into small talk as well, but then I just worry I'm gonna sound annoying as my friend Dr. Ma.
Dr. Mars, okay. How do you want your clinics to look like with what you know? How are you going to integrate both worlds into these clinics?
That's difficult to say, honestly. I need to run a clinic in order to fully establish what I think the flow should be like.
Sure,
But
but
I'm tumbling around with a couple of ideas.
yeah.
Subscription model, potentially, because I
Okay.
don't think any of the implementations we want for holistic health can be done through governmental taxes or social welfare in Australia, unfortunately. So
Okay.
it'll have to be like privately. Um, but honestly, it's really hard to say. It's not something I've been able to put into practice yet because I'm not home in Australia right now. But the
Yeah.
minute I am, I'll let you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me about the Dr. Red lifestyle. Taking all you know from X to being a doctor. How does this lifestyle look like? Like how are you just balancing life, period?
Hmm. So in general, I try not to post anything on X that I haven't used on myself.
Yeah.
Um, that's a loaded question. Give me like 20 seconds.
No worries, bro. That's absolutely take your time. I can help you. How does your movement look like? Exercise? Why do you prioritize these things? Uh, what is the goal and how does your diet look like? Your light environment, which is a whole other topic I want to get into. Your mindset. I know you're a huge 10K steps a day guy. So kind of around there, if that makes sense.
Sure. Would it be easier if I just run you through step by step what I do in the morning and throughout the
Absolutely. Yep.
day? So I wake up at 5, usually before the alarm.
Okay.
Then I go take a dump, and then I measure my weight. Sorry, that's a bit too specific. It's always on point like that. And then
Be as specific as you want to be. Yeah.
I immediately jump on the walking treadmill, which I have a walking pad right under my desk. I start walking.
That's where you get
30
your steps in. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm standing on the walking step right now. I just thought it'd be weird walking while I'm having a chat with you.
That would be
Um,
amazing. Yeah.
so I'm on the walking step, and on my desk is the pre-prepared snacks or protein foods or carbs that I had from last night. It's usually in the form of bars or a shake or a liquid protein. Unfortunately, I don't really have enough space because I'm living with 9 people while I'm living in the UK temporarily.
9 people.
Yeah, it's fucking pigsty down there, man. I'm not gonna show you that. It's traumatizing.
Hmm.
So my options are limited. Sometimes I do have chicken or rice prepared in a mini fridge up here. While I'm eating, I'm usually studying a textbook or doing my flashcards to solidify my memory on acute medicine. After I do that, then I start preparing for the gym. So my bag's already prepped from last night. I chug my pre-workout, wait 30 minutes, and then I leave for the gym, which is only a 2-minute walk away. Thank God.
Oh, wow.
Then I do my gym session. During the session, okay, so we're obviously going for hypertrophy here, but during the gym session, I'm usually walking in between sets
Mm-hmm.
while doing Duolingo or reading a research article
Really?
during the 2 to 5 minute rest period.
Okay.
And then afterwards, I commute to work by steps, purely by steps. And I'm still doing it's only a 10 to 15-minute walk. Um, and I'm still doing like my research articles or writing threads or still doing Duolingo. Once I get to work, I chug another protein meal down. Usually again in the form of liquids because I only have 5 minutes before the shift starts.
As in like
And
a protein shake thing?
yeah, just another protein shake. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, not a lot of whole foods, unfortunately, which coach is gonna yell at me about for later. I'm pretty sure. And then work starts, and then it gets hectic, and I usually don't have time except at lunchtime to go sit out on the bench. There is
Yep.
a bench usually. The weather right now is absolute garbage.
Mm-hmm.
UVI2 maximum, I think right now.
UV what?
UV2,
With clouds or without?
both.
Okay. Oof.
So I'm usually sitting outside, but don't worry, it feels so much better compared to still sitting inside indoors
Mm-hmm.
next to your colleagues who are just like
Of course.
gossiping about shitty nurses and midwives. I don't need that energy. So I'm usually either sitting outside or inside, depending if it's like showering or raining. Um, and then work finishes. I go home. I can't really eat because by the time I get home it's 6 p.m. and I have to prepare myself for MMA.
Wow.
So while I'm preparing for MMA, which is usually around 6, starts at 6 or starts at 7, I chug electrolytes with ashwagandha and magnesium glycinate in preparation
For
for
sleep?
sleep afterwards,
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
with some zinc and selenium as well, if I have it on hand. I think I just ran out last night. Fuck. But and then because the cortisol is just so high, and you're under white light, and
That's what I was about to say.
some
Gym,
white clouds above
steps,
you, yeah.
MMA, hospital. Wow.
Mind you, I only do MMA like 3 to 4 times a week because if I
Bro,
do any more than that,
even if it's once, that's impressive.
no, thank you. Very
Wow.
much. And then afterwards, I'm usually pooped. I come back, lights are already all off, like maximum candlelight if Lady Red is around the house. And then we both just chat, get in our oxytocin, and then we just absolutely conk out like it's nothing. And then the day
Right.
repeats itself.
Wow.
Yeah. That's usually how it goes anyway.
So
If I get
you can't avoid a good sleep of night. Almost, you're
no,
so
you can't.
exhausted.
No. If I fuck up sleep, then my energy like dips really fucking hard, and
So your only meals are waking up with your treadmill, and then just like a protein shake before work.
and then a lunch meal, a big lunch meal. So like I just posted a picture of my lunch, which is like
I think I
400
saw
grams of
chickens or
chicken
something. Let me
with
see.
a garlic mayo and a giant battered cod.
Yeah.
Even then, I kind of fucked up today because someone had an emergency and I had to skip some snack times. I forgot to mention the snack times, but I'll leave that out of the I'll leave that out of the
Oh
picture.
shit, this looks
But,
good.
but today, fuck. Today I'm under by 800 calories, so I'm gonna have to figure something out.
You're under 800 calories today?
Yeah, I'm under by 800. So the lunch was about
Oh, my bad. Okay.
1500 calories.
Yeah.
My morning was about 400 to 600 calories, but I'm under by like 500 ish. 500.
What time is it right now?
It's 7 p.m. Fuck.
You're going to sleep soon? Okay, let's make this a little quicker and I can
No,
get
no,
to
no. It's all right. It's all right. I have to deal with some other personal stuff later anyway.
um what are you drinking throughout the day besides the pre-workout?
Um, let's see. Coffee, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's always water with electrolytes and creatine lying around somewhere. I actually
Mm-hmm.
lost the bottle though, so now I have to buy some. I don't know if you know if Gript sells to UK. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to know if
Oh,
Gript sells to UK.
no clue.
No clue. That's fine. I can ask. I can ask Bowtie Stealth later.
Yeah.
That's usually what I drink. If I'm cutting, there's sometimes a Fanta Zero or a Coke Zero thrown in there. But because I'm bulking, I don't need to do that crazy stuff, thankfully.
What electrolytes do you use?
No, it's just basic stuff. I haven't found any good ones since coming to the UK.
Oh,
Let me-
thank God, dude. I'm gonna bless you soon. I think you know.
yeah.
I'm working on something.
Oh shit! I would love
Yeah.
to have some because it's just basic shit. Like yeah.
No, you're gonna like it. Interesting. I'm trying to see what else we can get from your day. What do you focus on diet wise? Just eating?
Just eating. Like at this point,
Yeah.
I'm sick of chewing. It's just like I think Mikey said it this morning, but I was like, oh,
It's like too much time.
I need to get bigger, but I'm tired of chewing. No, your jaw just gets tired after nomming down on chicken for so fucking long.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm usually just trying to get my food and try to make it whole as much as possible. But sometimes you just have crunch time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else here for your lifestyle. Just coping with like coping with so much stress. How's your recovery look like besides just sleeping?
So that's usually the markers I used. I've mentioned a few times is one, how refreshed you feel, obviously, how often you wake up before your alarm, how many times during the week you wake up with morning wood. But also, I've been recently having a go with the recovery metrics given by Whip.
Right. And it's
As
good. I
long
think
as,
I've seen.
as long as it's above 70%, I can usually perform what I'm usually supposed to do.
Dude.
But there have been times when it dips to like 10%, and then I catch a flu the next day, and I'm not sure if that's placebo that caused my flu, or maybe I'm just a little bitch. Who knows?
I think it's both. I think it's both. I mean, the reason why I stopped wearing Whoop was because of that. I got stressed about. I got too anxious about the numbers, and they kind of like took control over me.
No,
But I
fair
feel
enough.
like for you, it's very necessary. No, I mean, it's
I think
just like
so,
such an incredible thing to have. No, wow.
yeah. No worries.
So living in the UK in your light environment, I know this is huge for us, especially in this page. Um, but how do you cope or how do you deal with the amount of blue light you do? So you're waking up 5 a.m., which is like 2-3 hours before sunrise. Um, You work in a hospital all day. After the hospital, sunset probably already happened. MMA now. How does this look like?
Terrible.
Okay.
When I go back to Australia in about 8 months, I'm expecting my vitamin D to have taken a large dip.
Mhm.
I'm surprised everyone here doesn't have osteomalacia,
What is that?
rickets, basically. Just when your levels drop below 20 to pathological levels of vitamin D, your bones start getting soft. You start feeling like shit.
Wow. Okay.
Like you just get easier fractures. It's very difficult. Once again, because the UVI is 2, and that's sometimes not even enough to stimulate proper vitamin D synthesis.
Nope.
Um, in the morning, when I finish gym, is usually around 7, so maybe some sunlight will be there. But I'm actually planning on purchasing a red light therapy device soon.
That's going to be a godsend for you.
You have no idea. I've had
Um,
like so many close calls for eczema breakouts, and
wow.
therapy for that preventatively is red light. But because there's been no red light, it's been pretty fucking tough.
Right.
Yeah. But I've been able to compensate with light over the weekends, even if it is still shit.
What do you do on the weekends to
I
compensate?
just sit outside most of the time.
Really? What are you doing? Like, do you still wake up at 5? Are you still going to the gym at the
Yeah,
time you do?
I still wake up at 5, still go to the gym around that time. It depends on if Lady Red wants to go to the gym with me later in the day.
Hmm.
Then at 5, I'll just wake up and do my work, study outside, things like that.
Great. Okay. So after the UK, you're going back to Australia.
Yes, and then I'm going to be blessed. We're going to be blessed with high
Yes.
UVs once again.
Yes. I imagine everything's going to change. That's going to be cool. It's going to be cool for you to document as well, the
Yeah,
change, and to
absolutely.
write about it. Um, is that where you're going to start to focus on the clinic, or you're still doing some hospital work over there?
I'm going to see if there's going to be some flexibility for me to work on the clinic while also continuing my training.
Hmm.
There's something called the 10-year moratorium in Australia. When you go there as a GP to practice, you don't usually get to choose where you go. You get sent to areas of need around the country.
Whoa.
There is some loopholes around that. You can locum at some clinics around certain areas. And I've had talk with some people about letting me loop locum. So like this place, back to this place, back to this place, and I'll spend the entirety of those 10 years in that area. And I
Okay.
can use that loophole to potentially work on the clinic.
Do you get any help from what you've done in medical school, your work in the hospital to open up a clinic?
Oh, what do you mean?
Like, do you get any help to literally open up the clinic?
Yeah, of course, of course. I can't
Okay.
imagine doing this by myself. I've never been
What
not.
about like the freedom of how you choose to do the clinic? Are there a certain set of rules you have to also follow to open this project out?
You mean like payment guidelines or just like general health guidelines?
General health guidelines.
As long as you practice without doing any harm and
Okay.
that you can provide extensive rationale, and as long as you safety net and let the patients know what they're getting themselves into and how well you do during your audits,
Okay.
it shouldn't be too much of an issue,
Okay.
honestly.
Um, what has the work you do taught you about the world?
Hospital work.
Sure. Both, even like I'd say hospital work and maintaining the lifestyle you do with hospital work.
Let's see. One would be people are a lot more, it's either a lot more fragile than you think they are or a lot tougher than you think they are.
Okay.
That doesn't come out more clearly in a hospital environment. When things go to shit, you see the people who scramble around not knowing what to do.
Yeah, you see.
And then
Okay.
you see those people who just charge the fire like it's fucking nothing. I get jealous of those people sometimes.
Who are you?
No, I fluctuate between both because it's sometimes the newest things freak me out a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
especially things you've never seen before. But then you get really, really self-defeatist and self-loathing and disappointed in yourself afterwards. You reflect like crazy, and then the next time the exact same thing happens, you're like, "No, I'm not fucking this up again." So then you just move forward.
Wow, that's beautiful. For my last question, what brings you most joy in life currently?
Currently,
Yeah.
being with my girlfriend and looking the best I have in a long time.
Really?
Yeah. And that I feel like I'm literally unstoppable right now in terms of progress and things like that. Like I've never had drive this high, and
Wow.
I'm considering on trying testosterone replacement therapy just for the sake of skin in the game for a couple months or maybe a year.
Really?
And I'm kind of scared to see what it's like if I start that. Like my actual peen and my mind peen are just going to be fish.
Right.
But yeah, those things.
And how that's going to work with, again, the lifestyle you do, right?
Mm.
With being under so much stress. I think it's going to help, probably, right?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
it's gonna be amazing.
it's going to be a piece of cake.
It's already it's already a piece of cake.
Yeah. I love it. I love the drive that you have. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to get you on the episode. You're just so focused. Fuck yeah, dude.
So
Yes.
thanks for inviting me on this thing, man. I actually had a really good time. This first time doing a podcast. So
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. And thank you for giving me your time, for being a busy motherfucker. Did you do MMA today?
um there's no MMA today. So I'm just probably gonna go to the gym, hit the bag for a bit.
You haven't gone to the gym.
No, I went to the gym this morning, but I'm gonna go again just to hit the bag.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. Okay. You motherfucker. Wow. What time is it over there? You said 7:40, right?
7:10 right now. 7:10.
Wow.
It's all right.
Wow.
It's okay.
Okay. Beautiful, bro. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.